Oh, actually, here we go. Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Justin Horvath from the Shiawassee Economic Development Partnership. I want to thank you all for joining today. We're actually recording this for those folks that are not able to attend. We appreciate you making time for this webinar. Excited to bring this content to you. We obviously know the nature of the economy right now, very uncertain, very scary for a lot of companies. And we really want to be able to offer through our organization access to tools, programs, resources to help our businesses get through this time. And one of the areas that some of our companies in Shiawassee County have done, and we hope more will, is look at international sales potential. Obviously, the entire world is dealing with the COVID-19 virus right now. But the reality is, we are in a global economy. There are customers out there across the world that could be candidates to buy our local businesses' products or services. But the challenge is, not surprisingly for small businesses, how do I get to them? How do I find them? What are the resources that would be available to actually help me get to somebody and market myself to prospects in other countries? And so the beautiful thing here and why we're here today is we have support from our state and federal officials to help our companies, particularly our smaller businesses that are not able to do it on their own. And so we're very blessed to have a couple of guests with us today representing the state and the federal government. We have Jacob Schrader from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. He is our international trade manager for several counties. I'll let him tell you his entire territory, but what's important here is he's ours for Shiawassee County. So we're grateful to have him, and he's going to talk about what he does and what the state can do and some of the resources they have available. But then we also have Eve Lerman from the U.S. Commercial Service, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. And they bring a lot of firepower to the table from a federal level to help our businesses identify opportunities across the globe and get connected with the right people. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with Jake from the state perspective, and he's going to talk about what they have going on. And then we're going to have Eve follow up with that from the federal perspective. And then we want to open it up to the floor, to the guests on the call, and you will be able to ask questions to be able to get better guidance on how you yourself can either start exporting or maybe expand exporting. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jake, and we'll get going. So Jake, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Justin. Certainly appreciate that introduction, that warm introduction. And maybe one thing I can throw out there, I do work with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and I do represent Shiawassee County. I actually represent this strange swath of land that goes from Ludington down to Macomb County. But what I catch along the way is the Lansing area, the Flint area, and then certainly smack dab in between that is Shiawassee County. So that's probably the most important thing you need to know about my territory. The good thing about the way Eve and I work together, there's no wrong door here. So we're happy to collaborate. We're happy to partner in any way. At the end of the day, we want to help, and my main goal in life is to help Michigan companies export more. So that's really the sweet spot we play in. We work with all sorts of different industries, all sorts of different sizes of companies. I will say our average clients are going to be somewhere between 5 to 10 employees, all the way up to several hundred. And the one thing I want you to remember there is we've got a little bit of something for everybody. I did mention that we're looking to help companies export more, but even if you're just diving in and dabbling in, thinking about exporting, we've got some good ways, good directions to point you in, and some other good partners. The SBDC comes to mind that can help you really kick off that entire adventure of exporting. So what I'd like to do is normally I do a presentation, go through a slideshow, but because this the context of this presentation really involved working with our our existing exporting programs, and maybe diving into some of the big updates that we've had. So even if you've had a conversation with me or with Eve, and you're looking to maybe do something further, I just want to let you know we do have some big updates to some of our commonly used programs. So even if you're very experienced with our programs, we got some new stuff for you today. So that's exciting. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Justin or some Eve, could I get a confirmation that you can see our website here?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Wonderful. And I'm hoping I can navigate through this okay. If you have a second, it might be worth your time to just kind of jot down the web address of this. It's michiganbusiness.org/services/international-trade. This will get you to the most up-to-date information on our programs. And the reason I thought it was important to bring this up was, because of all those changes. So if I've been out to your business in the past and I've given you a flyer, I don't want to say throw them away, but throw them away. Go to our website instead. This is where the up-to-date information is going to be. And like I said, our whole goal is to help Michigan companies export. And I'm not going to go through the nitty-gritty of all of our website and all of our programs. I'm going to touch on some high-level stuff. First and foremost, probably our most popular program, and usually what people hear about, because it's in the context of free money, is under this financial assistance tab. If you click Learn More, that dives you into this expansion program, or the MI STEP program. And essentially what this program is, and I would again encourage you to dive in and look at some of the intricacies on this particular page, but it is a federal program administered by the SBA at the federal level. The money flows down to the MEDC, my team, and we are in charge of getting that funding into Michigan companies' hands. So I'm happy to say that all of that federal money, 100% of it, is being kicked back out to Michigan companies, and it is a reimbursement program. So it's a skin in the game type of situation. The big update for this year is in the past it's only been a 50% reimbursement program. This year we've jumped that up to 75%, and to a certain extent that was in response to pandemic recovery. What we were hearing back from companies was that hey, we need money, we need it now. In order to bounce back to our our best extent, we need resources. And so we took a look at our existing programs, the STEP program being one of them, and looked at ways we could tweak that and still stay within the parameters of the program, which we absolutely did. But the exciting part for you is there's now a 75% reimbursement. Having said that, the total amount that you can get through the state of Michigan is $15,000, and it remains $15,000 per fiscal year. Now our fiscal year starts October 1st and goes through September 30th, and that is a renewable pot of funding. So if you've used it in the past, we just started a new fiscal year. There's another pot of $15,000 that's out there and available for you to use. So what can you use it on? You can kind of see the allowable uses of STEP here. But what I like to do is I like to kind of put it on the spectrum of, if you've got, and it's got to be international trade related. So that international trade sales cycle, everything from, hey, we're thinking about getting into a new market, all the way to the point of sale. That's where your eligible expenses are going to be. Once you've made the sale, you're past eligible expenses. At that point, you're servicing that sale. So big ticket items like attending international trade shows, traveling internationally on sales trips, everything from your airfare to the hotel costs, to ground transportation, to hiring a translator, to working to ship sample products there, the participation in the trade show fees, all of that is usually our big ticket items. Now we've made another couple alterations, and again, this is where the update comes in. You'll notice the $10,000 here, and this is a cap within that $15,000 of international website design. A year ago, if I would have told you about this, you would have had 3,000 of your 15,000 to use. This year, recognizing that it's very hard to travel places, and we still want you to be active, and acknowledging that your website is really anymore your business card to the world. We're acknowledging that, and as kind of a nod to help companies out, if you're looking to develop an international website, and this is more than just clicking Google Translate. This is going to be things like putting your website completely in a different language, or at least a certain segment of your website in a different language, transacting commerce, maybe accepting a foreign currency, being a localized domain, maybe a .mx site for your Mexican targets. That's where we're talking about international website design. And like I said, this has been leveraged as of late greatly, and we're happy to help you in these types of efforts. The other area that has seen a big uptick, and again, if we would have been talking about this a year ago, we have been talking about a $3,000 cap, but the design of international marketing media. And you'll also notice in the context, which tends to get lumped in with international websites, but international social media marketing campaigns do qualify and are eligible expenses under the SEDP program. So if you want to target specific LinkedIn users in say Australia or Canada or Japan or wherever that may be, that would be an eligible expense. Again, we recognize that you can't travel there, but you can get in front of them virtually on their computer, and we're happy to facilitate that. So there's also another increase in caps as far as cost of compliance testing. So if you are looking to maybe get an international certification like the CE mark, there can be compliance testing associated with that. And that's another area where, I think we can lend some assistance to companies, where you don't have to go anywhere. And again, I've talked to a lot of companies where this is something they've been meaning to do for years. They've just never really had the time. Well, here's the time to do that. Now may be that time. So it is an application-based program. It is the type of thing that you need to let us know you need funding for it prior to taking the trip. But it's pretty, and all of that routes through me. So filling out an application, going on the trip, and then you'd come back and request reimbursement based on that trip, that 75% reimbursement. So really lots of areas. And what I normally spend a lot of time doing is talking with companies and brainstorming different ways to use this program. A couple big areas that are not covered by the program. Meals tend to be a big one. Alcohol, if you're entertaining, that would not be an area that is not that is not covered by the program. But like I said, there's lots of different areas that are covered, and we're happy to facilitate or at least have a dialogue about ways you could use this. And again, the big idea is to help you sell more. And the motivation behind that for us is if you're selling more, you're paying more taxes, you're hiring more employees here in Shiawassee County, and that's all exciting stuff for us. Another area and another program that is actually outside of the MEDC. I'm switching screens here. Justin, can you still see that? Or Eve, did I lose anybody?
It hasn't loaded yet. I
Yeah.
see you're switching, but I don't see it
Okay.
yet.
So here's another program that's technically not my program, but because I brought up the CE mark, what you'll notice that I left off that CE mark portion was the actual certification cost. You can get the compliance testing done underneath the STEP program, but when it comes to the actual certification costs, it was determined under our partners or our friends, also under the MEDC, the Peer Group. There's this new access and certification grant. The exciting part about this is it doesn't necessarily have to be related to export. Again, this is not my program, but you'll kind of notice some of the big areas here. Certainly international certifications, but also your industrial certifications, like your ISO, your AS9100. Some people are using this for, Volkswagen comes to mind, where you have to have a specific software in order to bid on any of their procurement needs. So that type of thing, could be covered and work in tandem, with the STEP program as far as it relating to the international certifications. So, like I said, I would be happy to do a handoff if anybody has further questions on this program. Again, it's not mine, but this is a huge value add. I think, Justin, you can probably name off the top of your head all the companies in Shiawassee County that have to be ISO certified, and to have some type of resource to help pay for that, it is a big deal. So we're very excited about that.
Very much. Yeah, sorry, Jake. I was trying to respond before. I had my thing on mute, right? How many times does that happen? You're thinking you're talking away and it's on it's on mute. So absolutely, that is really something that a lot of our industrial companies have to have in general. So that's a huge value add.
Yeah, so maybe what I can do, Justin, is after our call here, I can share that with you, and I'll bounce it your way, and you can forward it on to the members of the call, and just have it on file for folks. The other area that I really wanted to hone in on today, so I've gone back to our michiganbusiness.org/services/international trade, is in relation to our international offices. So if I would have showed you this map a year ago, you would have seen far less blue on it. So what does the blue mean for those of us that haven't taken part in this particular service? So the MEDC actually has on-the-ground resources in all of these blue shaded areas. We have direct offices in Canada, Mexico, Brazil, an office in the UK, which really covers all of Europe for us, an office in the Middle East, which is covering those countries that we can sell to, and then an office in China that is taking care of our companies there. You'll notice, like I said, a lot more areas are shaded, and these are kind of secondary offices where we partner in order to get the on-the-ground resources. Some big additions for this year, again, if you've heard me talk in the past, but haven't heard me talk in a while, Japan, South Korea, more services in India. We used to just have the country of South Africa. Now you can see much more of that continent is shaded. And then, I think we fleshed out the continent of South America as well. So there's a lot more resources. Oh, Israel. Israel is another area where we've got some additional resources. So this is, very exciting. And, to get into the nitty gritty of what these offices can do for you, I like to kind of drop it into two buckets. Okay, so the first bucket is they can help you find customers or sales partners. So if you don't want to sell direct, maybe you want to help finding a distributor or a sales agent or whatever that may be. This is the type of resource that is perfect for you. Just again, having somebody in the local time zone, having somebody on the ground to help you make those calls and set up those meetings and give you a qualified list of potential, again, either customers or distributors is fantastic. And it's just something that's so difficult to find, with any regularity from here. We kind of take the middleman out and, again, give you that on the ground resource. The other bucket I like to liken their services to, we call it general assistance, but it's going to be everything from, helping you understand maybe local laws or local customs, both getting things across the border and business customs, helping to understand local tax issues. We've even had these offices go out and do maybe a bit of a background check and visit, a location of a business that is reaching out to one of our Michigan companies just to make sure it's a legitimate business. And one great story is they went out and it happened to be this, the address that was given was, just on a dock somewhere along the coast, and it definitely was not a legitimate business. So again, having that resource on the ground to help the Michigan company, transact commerce, understand the business culture, understand doing business, and helping find the customers. All of the above. I mean, this is huge. This is definitely a good way to jumpstart your business in a different country. You'll notice lots of gray shaded areas as well, besides the United States. This is where Eve is going to talk a little bit more, and Eve will get to you. I'm wrapping up here, but I'm sure she's going to tell you about their Gold Key services and some of the on the ground resources that her team has. And by the way, the STEP program can help pay for some of those services as well. So our international offices, they are certainly finite, but they are, they are free of charge. So like I said, if you need that contact in Mexico or Canada or wherever it may be, that's something that we pick up the tab for. But like I said, it's not unlimited. We usually try to cap that to a couple per year, and then make those connections from there and evaluate based on what we continue to have left. So I'm going to go back one more time to our main website and just point out the resources and training. And I'm going to spend about a minute and a half just talking in general about some of the other things we do and our partners do. Again, U.S. Commercial Services, and Eve's going to talk about her resources at export.gov. We've got a ton of other things, everything from market research to understand, what country should you be trying to sell into, to understanding maybe compliance documentation. Maybe you want to sell, make sure you're compliant to sell your military goods in other markets. Maybe you just need to understand NAFTA, or I'm sorry, the USMCA, the new NAFTA, and some of those other trade agreements, and make sure you're filling out the right paperwork. Our partners at Van Andel Global Trade can help out with that. We do a variety of trainings, even to the point of, we have contacts with a legal firm that, if you've got a one-off question, and again, it's not legal advice, you're not committing or putting anybody on retainer, you just have, a quick legal question or maybe, something that can be answered in a legal training. Those types of things are out there and available. We also partner with organizations like Automation Alley to organize trade missions. We have a variety of trade missions coming up, one to Mexico for an automotive meeting. We're doing a virtual mission to the UK and the Netherlands. We're planning a trip to, hopefully, knock on wood here, we're planning a trip to Japan and South Korea in April. We were looking at the possibility of a trade mission to India, and that's going to be, it looks like March, but we're still trying to figure out the specifics of that. So the point is, we actually are taking companies on the ground and helping to facilitate the travel and doing the meeting matchmaking and making sure that when they take these trips, they've got several in-person meetings. And then you're getting to debrief with other Michigan companies to help you in that entire process. So the one thing I want to leave you with on this page, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll just put my contact information up here real quick if anybody wants to jot that down. We do a lot of other stuff. We've got a lot of partners that do a lot of stuff, all of it export related. So it's not your job to memorize my programs or even go through my website and say, okay, what can I take advantage of? I think probably the most productive way to interact with myself would be to, if you've got a need, if you've got something you need help with, reach out to me, and it's my job to know our programs and line you up with what is the best fit, and help you in that entire process. Whether you're trying to put your website in another language, or you've got a one-off issue in a different country, like I said, chances are we have something, or we have a partner that has something. So just keep my contact information handy. Reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a further discussion. Maybe set up a time to have a dialogue. Happy to connect and help in any way we can. But with that, Justin, I don't know if you want to do questions now, or if we should flip it over to Eve and save the questions for the end of the presentation here.
Yeah, let's just keep rolling. Jake, that was great information. Let's just go right over to Eve Lerman from the U.S. Commercial Service, our federal representative on the phone, who will talk to you about some of the programs they have. So Eve, thanks for joining today.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here today. I just want to first jump in to say that I don't know if everyone realizes how lucky we are to be living in the state of Michigan. So I work at federal level. I've been doing my job for 20 years, sort of similar to what Jake does at federal level. But I could have been, anywhere in the country. My agency has offices all across the United States, but I feel very fortunate to be here in Michigan because, first of all, it's my native state. I was born and raised here. But secondly, the state of Michigan has been extremely proactive about competing for money that is given out through the Small Business Administration at federal level to the states. And year after year, they're at the top of the pile of companies that are states rather that are applying for this funding, which means that there are more dollars to share with Michigan companies. And the state programs are actually more generous in many cases than other states. A lot of money is available, and it's really a shame to leave that money on the table. You might have noticed when Jake was showing information on the STEP grants that there are various ways you can use that money. Number 2 was for U.S. Department of Commerce services, and I'm going to jump into some of those. So what I'd like to do now is share my screen. So give me 1 second while I do that. And I'm just going to hit desktop, and then I'm going to go into first screen. I just want to show you is just so you can see kind of where I fit in the federal scheme of things, which is U.S. Department of Commerce has 12 bureaus, and I work right here in the International Trade Administration. So if I click on the next tab, this is our website, trade.gov. And I'm going to click from here over. You can see some of the various tabs that you can look at, but I'm going to go next into this particular tab, which I think is especially interesting because this shows where our agency has offices all over the world. And what is it that we do, the U.S. Commercial Service? Our job is to help U.S. companies export goods and services to the rest of the world. We are funded by Congress. We need to demonstrate to Congress on a regular basis. Every year, we submit success stories that show that the dollars that are being invested in terms of taxpayer money are being put to good use because we're actually successfully helping companies find new business partners and actually sell products and services into foreign markets. So while we're on this page, I'm just going to open up the website for one particular country. We have offices in approximately 80 countries, and you'll notice that many of the countries where we have offices, the state of Michigan also has offices. And so it's very common that, a company might be needing to decide, well, should I be working with, the U.S. Department of Commerce offices like this one here in Germany, or should I work with the state office? And Jake and I can help you make that decision. I have a company right now that is actually originally thought they were going to work with U.S. Department of Commerce offices in Japan and China, but I actually just recommended to them today that they work with the state office in Japan and our offices, U.S. Department of Commerce offices in China. So there are good reasons why I made that recommendation, and I just looped in Jake's counterpart to help us in Japan. But that's something we can help you decide. So this is our website just for one specific country, Germany. And, if you were to click, for example, services for U.S. companies, you could read all about the various types of services that we have, Gold Key, International Partner Search, International Market Check, etc. And I'm going to get, in a moment, I'm going to switch to another screen and talk with you more about our virtual services, because like many other organizations and companies, we've needed to change up what we do. We're focusing now more on virtual services, and I'm going to get into those in just a moment. But what I want to do here is just click on this Contact Us button, and you can see there's a list of industry sector specialists right here for our offices in 4 locations. So we have in many, many countries around the world, we have more than one office. So in Germany, for example, our main office is at the U.S. Embassy in Berlin. We have an office in Dusseldorf, one in Frankfurt, and one in Munich. These are each at U.S. consulates. And the reason for that is that the kind of work we do, we really need to have that local presence to build up contacts in the various industries that we cover so that we can really help you find new business opportunities, help you find new business partners and new opportunities to sell your products. So if I click right here on this list of our industry sector specialists and scroll down, I just want to give you a sense of how broad the expertise is. And just for example, my main industries that I cover are manufacturing and automotive. And just today I held a call with a company I work with regularly here in Michigan that is a systems integrator for robotics. And I held a call with two of my colleagues in Germany, and I'm looking for one of them. One is Klaus Jonas, who handles manufacturing, and the other is Felix Happy. I'm scrolling down for Felix, but Felix handles automotive. So we held a joint call in relation to an opportunity to sell to the Deutsche Bahn, the German rail system, robotics opportunity. And we were talking in depth about this company putting together a package. This is not a giant company. I'm talking about small to medium-sized companies that I work with regularly, and we organize calls like this on a regular basis. So a call like this doesn't cost anything, okay? Some of our other services, which I'm about to speak about, there are fees associated with some services, but those are really depend on the size of the company. And for small companies, they're quite reasonable, and you can use the STEP grant to cover 75% of those. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to click right now on virtual services because I really wanted to delve into that to give you an idea of what we're really focusing on right now in terms of services to help companies. The first is you can see customized market research. We have a special program going on right now for rural exporters, and I can tell you more about that. If you're a rural company, just let me know. This is very important, initial market check. This is a service where our staff overseas will help you verify whether that particular market is a promising market for you to pursue. So if there's a market that you're thinking about, and you think, maybe I should be trying to find a new agent or a new distributor in that market, and you need to help validate whether this is a good market for you, this is exactly the service for you. And I want you to see that even before you get a STEP grant, the fee for an initial market check is $350 for a small company. And you can imagine that if the STEP grant is available to you and that covers 75% of that $350, it's really a very small investment to confirm whether or not that is a market that you should be pursuing. The way this service works is that my colleagues in that market that cover the industry that you work in would reach out after having a detailed conference call, which I would set up for you, and after having read through a couple of page questionnaire that you would fill out so they fully understand who you are as a company, what you sell, and what your goals are in that market. They would then schedule meetings by phone, with themselves with 4 to 5 companies locally, and get feedback from them on what they feel the potential is for your product or service in that market. Then they would collect those responses and write a report for you to help you decide whether or not to pursue the market. So let's go back for one moment to the slide before, and let's say it turned out that you got good feedback and that does look like a promising market. So what would your opportunities be then to find a new agent or a new distributor or a new joint venture partner, or perhaps a licensee to license your technology? So there are two options here. One is called the International Partner Search, and the other is the International Partner Search plus virtual introductions. These services have always been available, but in the past, our companies tended to rely a little more heavily on the Gold Key, which is this very similar service, but you actually travel to the country in question for meetings on the ground with potential business partners. These two virtual services involve a similar search, and then our colleagues overseas will vet the companies that seem like the best prospects, and then either they'll write a written report for you, that's the International Partner Search, or they'll write a written report and then follow it up with virtual introductions, where they will schedule, meetings through Teams or Zoom or whatever the best platform is going to be for you with these potential business partners. So I'm going to click on this just for a moment to give you a sense of what the fees would be. And if I scroll down, you can see that the fee for an International Partner Search plus virtual introductions is $900 for small companies. So if it was $800, and you got a STEP grant, 25% of that would be your out-of-pocket cost, would be $200, so it's probably $225 if I've done my math right, for you to have this, access to this service. So let me go back for a second, because there are a couple of other services that I want to talk about. And this one is very important. This is due diligence on foreign parties. This is a background check, and it's a very detailed background check. And I can, email anybody who's interested in this service, sample reports. They're typically 12 to 15 pages. Our staff overseas will do research, dig in, contact the company. In past, when we didn't have to deal with COVID, they would actually go out and in person meet with the company. Now some of that work is done over the phone or via, virtual meetings, but they'll write a very detailed report that helps you validate this potential business partner and decide whether this is somebody you do want to sign, for example, a distribution agreement with. Or maybe this is a potential customer and you want to verify whether they really have the means to pay you. This is particularly important, for example, if you're a company that makes capital equipment and each piece of equipment is unique, and it maybe each piece of equipment might price tag might be $500,000 or $1 million. You want to be sure that you're going to be paid at the end of the day. So this helps you verify whether this potential customer is somebody that's going to be kind of good for their word and good to pay you at the end of the day. There are other opportunities through Ex-Im Bank to also help ensure that you do get paid. In some of those, they actually require that you get a report like this done in order to take advantage of the services. So let's move on. There's one other service I'd like to mention here, and this is the in-country promotion of products or services. So this one in particular, single company promotion, is something that I've done very successfully with companies in many different markets. And this is a marketing event that we organize specially for your company. And in the past, this was done in person, where we would organize this for you. You would travel to that country, and typically it might be a 2-hour technical seminar, followed by lunch, or followed by, if it was an afternoon event, followed by a cocktail. But it would typically involve inviting perhaps 100 attendees from your industry. And in the past, as I've done this over the years, the price tag for a project like this has been really astonishingly low. Just to give you a sense, on average, it's been about $3,000 typically, and this is a customized service. So it depends on, if there's a room rental cost or not, and what the cost of food might be, etc. But the project involves our staff researching who should be invited to your event, sharing that list with you in advance, having you confirm that the right people are being invited, and then the invitations go out on U.S. Embassy letterhead. And I cannot emphasize enough how powerful that is when your invitation goes out on U.S. Embassy letterhead. And when the event actually takes place, it's under the banner of the U.S. government. We provide signage. We have somebody from the embassy come and introduce the program and welcome you and your guests. So this is really an official U.S. Embassy event. So as I was mentioning, typically these are in-person events, but I just held a phone call last week with our offices, our whole automotive team in India. We have 6 different people, I think, in different cities in our offices throughout India that are all handling the automotive sector. We held a call with an automotive-focused company here and decided that our next step is going to be to organize 2 marketing events in 2 key automotive clusters in India, and these are going to be done virtually. So I just want to mention that we are switching again to offering programs like this virtually, just to help you continue to do business. I will tell you, if you think that things have slowed down for me, they have not. I am extraordinarily busy. I can barely keep up with the workload. So I can tell you the companies that I'm working with are not huge companies. Most of them are small to medium-sized companies, and I am busy nonstop. So let me go on to the next tab. I want to mention briefly that we do have industry teams, and I want to click on, for example, automotive team. Let me just skip forward to this website. Okay, so this is our older website that I was just on, but this is the newer one. This is what I really want you to see. So we have an automotive team, and this team page gives you an opportunity right here to get industry updates. So if you're, for example, covering the automotive sector, I would encourage you to click on this so that you get notified about different programs that we are offering for the automotive sector. I've been an automotive team member since I started my job. I actually spent 3 years as the automotive team leader for our agency globally. That's not a permanent position, so you have your opportunity to lead, and then you step down and the baton gets passed to another team member. So let me back up for just a moment, because I want to show you that we have teams for aerospace, for manufacturing, agriculture, environmental technologies, energy. Each of these you can click if that's your industry area, and you can sign up to get industry updates. So I think it's really worth your while to do that. And let me go on to the next tab that I have open. I just want to say a few words about a program called Export Tech, which we offer in Michigan. It's a national program that was developed by the U.S. Department of Commerce. Two parts of the Department of Commerce, one being my agency, the U.S. Commercial Service, and NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And the Export Tech program was developed to help, specifically to help manufacturers develop a strategic plan to build export sales. So we offer this. We have many partners here in Michigan, and we work extremely closely hand in hand with MEDC. And so you can see here, this is our final day of the program at Northern Michigan University last fall. And I'm going to click over to the next tab because we simultaneously were holding a program in mid-Michigan in Saginaw. We've actually done 3 programs in Saginaw to date. And I have a lot of really great clients that I continue to work with in mid-Michigan that I know incredibly well because they participated in this program. So let me go back just for a second to show you. This is Natalie Chimico. She heads the MEDC International Trade Office. And this is Chris Basio, who is Jake's counterpart, who covers Northern Michigan and the UP. A number of these other folks here, this is me, my colleague Jennifer Mole, who is our office director. And some of the other people you'll see here are leaders of companies, and some of them are DEC members, Don Carbone right here, and Rich DeGay right here. And they came from Detroit, traveled up to the UP. It took them, each of them, 3 days, a day of driving and 1 day to volunteer to serve on the panel of experts, to listen to the presentations by each company and give feedback, and then another day to travel back down. So we're incredibly grateful both to our DEC members who volunteer their time to support this program, as well as to MEDC, which helps us in so many ways, both with recruiting and counseling the companies, and funding the program. We couldn't do it without the team that we have here. So we are running late on time. So I think that I'm going to hand off here back to Justin, just so we can take questions. Oh, I did want to just do one thing before I step back from the microphone, and that is just to show you 2 things. This is a flyer for a virtual B2B automotive event that we held this summer, where we had buyers from all over the world that our automotive team colleagues had reached out and invited to participate. And we also had our automotive team members counseling U.S. companies. And so if you sign up for the automotive team, on that page that I showed you for the team to receive updates, you will hear about programs like this. There was no charge to participate in this, and I actually am currently writing up my first success story for a pretty major automotive sector company here in Michigan. I can't mention the name, but they, as a result of this program, signed a new agreement in the Netherlands. So we actually have an actual success story that I'm writing up. The other thing that I just wanted to bring up on the screen for just a moment is this page, which just shows, and I know it's a little bit small, let me make this a little bit bigger, but you can just see all of our staff in Michigan. So we have a Pontiac, Detroit office, I'm based here, and we have an office in Grand Rapids covering the western side of the state. I'm going to hand it back to Justin. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you today, Justin, and I look forward to any questions. I'll just stop sharing right about now.
Okay. Very good. Get a little feedback.
Hopefully, you guys hearing that feedback?
I'm not hearing it.
Oh, you're not? Okay, maybe it's just the echo on my.
Yeah, I'm getting it too, Justin.
Okay, I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. It's gone. What do you know? Okay. Thank you. Wow, Jake, Eve, great information. And I want to thank you, obviously, for making time today to speak with all our folks on the call, and those that are not able to make it. They're obviously watching this this webinar. And I want to say thank you too for all the work you have done. I was actually while you were going through this, reviewing. You've worked with a lot of our clients already in Shiawassee County. So I do want to thank you for all of the work you've done up to date. Here's my question before I open it up. Most of our companies are very small. The world is a big place. We know that. I think most people that are watching this are saying, wow, there's some really good stuff out there. Where do I start? It's a big elephant. You got to eat it one bite at a time. What's the best thing? I mean, where do we go? What's the very, very first thing these folks should be doing coming out of this?
I'll jump in, and Eve, you might have a different take. And again, I don't think there's a wrong door here, but reach out to one of us. Let's start with a dialogue. And Eve, I'm even agreeable to a joint meeting situation. If you want to talk to both of us, we can work something like that out. Certainly in a virtual setting. As unfortunately, I'm tied to that to a certain extent. I don't know about you, Eve, but we're happy to have a discussion, and I think it's best for us to understand. What are your plans? What are your needs, right? So if it's getting into exporting, that's very different than, hey, we're exporting to Canada. It's half our business. We just want to go to Mexico too. Those are different requests and different needs, and just tailoring the resources that most effectively work for your particular need is the best place to start. But all that starts with a dialogue with either myself or Eve. Eve, what are your thoughts?
I love your suggestion. I think the idea of doing a joint virtual meeting with Jake and I is perfect. We can help guide you. We can help you, figure out what the next best steps would be. I think it really depends on where you are. If you're a company that has never exported before, it might be that we would refer you to the small business development centers. They're very good at helping companies develop a plan to develop export sales. If you're an experienced exporter and there's a particular country that you need to pursue, then we can have that conversation with you. So it's really it depends on the needs of the company, but we really look forward to working with you and helping you, find your way forward.
Great. Thanks, guys. So I do want to open it up. I know we have a few callers on here that might have some questions. Anybody have questions for Jake or Eve or both? Go ahead and ask them now. And some of you I see are on mute, so make sure you unmute yourself too if you have a question. So anybody have any questions?
I guess I'll start. If you can,
go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay.
You're good.
Actually, it's not necessarily a question. I'm trying to absorb all this information because it's a lot, and I'm rather new to the exporting and looking into this. But I just want to start by just thanking you for really this resource in general and being willing to show all these opportunities that really do exist. It's kind of blowing my mind just to realize how many of these kind of problems have already been tackled and their solutions are already out there for really a very reasonable price. So like I said, thank you very much. And it's just, I'm processing.
Well, I can certainly appreciate processing, and thank you for the comment. And I'm going to take that one step further in that I think so we face two issues. One is just flat out awareness. People do not know of all the resources that are out there and available. So things like this, and thank you again, Justin, for having us on. I think it's very important. But I think the other misconception that companies have out there is like, well, I don't know if I qualify, or I don't know if if I'm able to take advantage of these things, and I guess maybe just assume that you can, and ask that question and have that dialogue. We're happy to help. We're happy to brainstorm anything we can do to help. That's what we do, and I think I can safely say that Eve and I both love what we do. We're passionate about helping Michigan companies, and we're happy to help small companies, turn into bigger companies, and I think that's a really exciting place to be. And like I said, we've got something for everybody, so happy to help either way.
Yeah, there are two comments I can add, and one is that when I sit down with the companies for the first time, we'll brainstorm and think of a lot of different ideas for things we might pursue. And usually we try to settle on, one or two steps, maybe one country that we want to start with first. I kind of learned my lesson early on that, if a company comes to me and they want to try going into 5 different markets at once, let's start with 1 or maybe 2, and then let's, see how those work out, because you learn something. Each project that you do, you gain knowledge about how this works and how to do it, better and better each time you step into a new market. So that's one thing. And another thing is just a resource that I haven't mentioned yet, which is our district export councils. There's an East Michigan DEC and a West Michigan DEC, which are made up of volunteers from the international business community. Mostly they are business people, typically president of their company, and they themselves are exporters, very, very experienced exporters. And then in addition, on the DECs, we also have, service providers who are international lawyers, logistics people, accountants, etc., folks with expertise in international business. And they're all appointed by the Secretary of Commerce for the US government. And they volunteer their time to help other companies in the state of Michigan and all across the country, similar DECs. They help companies solve problems so that they can build export sales. So I mentioned previously that these are the people who volunteer to serve on the last day of Export Tech. They serve on our panel of experts. They also serve as speakers during the Export Tech program. But in addition to that, when I have a company that needs advice of a particular type, I will call on a DEC member and set up a phone call or set up a virtual meeting like this to talk through a problem that they're facing and get advice. So don't hesitate. If there's something that you're dealing with and you're not quite sure how to handle it, just come to Jake and I will help steer you in the right direction. It's a big part of our jobs.
Yeah, and I think one of the DEC members for East Michigan is right there in Owasso.
Yeah, so. Yannick Greiner.
He's the best.
Yannick Greiner. So for our local folks here, you probably know Rugged Liner, our truck accessories manufacturer. Yannick is their director of international sales.
Yep. And Yannick actually teaches international business at Oakland University. And every time he teaches, he has me come and do a session talking about exactly what we've talked about today, so that when these students graduate, they know what's out there in terms of, at federal government level, what the resources are. So he's just a gem, incredibly knowledgeable and a great resource for all of you here in Michigan.
Yes, he is. He actually comes into our building here at the Armory from time to time because our Chamber of Commerce does certificates of origin.
Right. Great.
So he'll pop into my office here at the Armory. He got something done somewhere. So yeah, great guy. So we'd be happy to make that local connection as well. So we are at 2:59. We want to get you out of here by 3. Let's take one more question if there is any. If anyone has anything, jump in. Okay, well, that worked out really good on timing, guys. Thank you so much, Eve and Jake, for joining today. As I mentioned, we will be sharing this webinar with our entire contact list. So hopefully those that are watching find value, and obviously those that are going to get this find value too. And once again, follow up directly with Jake and or Eve. As he said, there's no wrong door here. And hopefully you can work with them to either start or grow your export sales. So thank you, everybody, for making time to be here today.
Thank you, Justin, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks,
everyone.
Have a good afternoon, everyone. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.